To truly move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach to intimacy, you have to look at the physiological blueprint of how pleasure actually functions. Clinical research and large-scale peer-reviewed studies consistently highlight a pleasure gap that exists because many people rely on internal movement alone. However, the data is clear. For the vast majority of women, internal stimulation is only one half of the equation. To create a tailored experience, you must focus on two foundational pillars. The first is vascular, ensuring there is consistent blood flow to the pelvic tissues, which increases sensitivity and receptivity. The second, and perhaps most critical, is the requirement for dependable external stimulation at the front of the pelvis. When these two elements, internal movement and external touch, happen simultaneously, they work in synergy to make the experience feel fuller and much more intense. Understanding this helps you realize that a successful position isn't just about how it looks, but how it functions as a delivery system for these two pillars. Most positions fail because they prioritize depth or speed at the expense of external contact. When you shift your focus toward maintaining a specific angle that allows the base of your pelvis to stay in contact with hers, or leaves a hand free to provide steady external touch, you are essentially bridging that pleasure gap. This dual stimulation approach moves the experience away from a generic piston-like motion and toward a synchronized, intentional rhythm. By prioritizing this alignment, you ensure that the stimulation is consistent rather than intermittent, making the path to satisfaction feel more reliable and significantly more powerful for her. Coming in at fifth place is the sideline position, or what most people call spooning. It often gets a modest reputation because it seems quiet or low effort, but that simplicity is exactly why it is so effective. When you lie parallel to one another, you immediately remove the physical strain from the hips, knees, and lower back, allowing the nervous system to focus entirely on sensation rather than balance or exertion. This configuration is unique because it offers a very gentle, gliding internal angle that avoids the jarring contact found in more aggressive positions. To make this work perfectly, place a small, folded towel or a firm pillow between her knees. This simple adjustment aligns her hips and makes the entire experience more comfortable. The key to the movement here is to avoid long, repetitive strokes that cause sensation to reset. Instead, focus on a slow, grounded rocking motion. By keeping the base of your pelvis in constant, steady contact with the front of her body, you ensure that external stimulation remains uninterrupted and intense from start to finish. In fourth place is the seated edge or lap position, often described as seated face-to-face. This setup involves one partner sitting firmly on the edge of a bed or a sturdy chair while the other partner straddles them. The beauty of this position is the immediate sense of emotional and physical openness it creates. Eye contact is effortless, and the chest-to-chest contact promotes a deep sense of security. From a functional standpoint, this position is a game changer because it hands the receiving partner total control over the depth, rhythm, and angle of movement. Because your torsos are held so close together, both of your hands are completely free to incorporate external touch or a device without any awkward maneuvering. To maximize the pleasure in this position, you need a mental shift. Stop thinking about pushing and pulling and start thinking about rolling and pressing. By maintaining a steady, forward-pressing base, you keep the stimulation exactly where she feels it most powerfully, ensuring the pressure never drops away or gets interrupted. Taking the third spot is the face-to-face position, widely known as the classic missionary. While some critics dismiss it as being too basic, its true power lies in how it influences the nervous system. This position allows for the highest level of physical and emotional intimacy. Being able to synchronize your breathing, maintain eye contact, and read your partner's subtle facial cues helps the body enter a state of deep relaxation. This is physiologically significant because a relaxed body is far more capable of processing and amplifying pleasure than one that is tense. To transform this from standard to exceptional, use a small pillow or folded towel to prop up her hips. This simple tilt realigns the internal angle so that movement naturally targets the front wall of the body. Most importantly, this adjustment allows your pelvis to stay pressed forward, ensuring that the base of your body maintains consistent, reliable contact with her external sensitive areas throughout the entire experience. In second place is Woman on Top, and the defining advantage of this position is autonomy. This configuration is highly rated because it gives her total independence to set the rhythm, the depth, and the exact angle of contact. This level of control is vital because it allows her to make micro adjustments in real time, shifting her hips slightly left or right to find the most satisfying internal contact point while simultaneously ensuring steady stimulation at the front of the pelvis. To optimize this position, the goal should be a close contact approach. Instead of a vertical bouncing motion, which can often feel mechanical and cause sensation to drop in and out, favor a circular grinding or a forward rocking motion. By leaning slightly forward toward each other, you keep the pelvises in dependable, uninterrupted contact. This ensures that the most sensitive areas are being stimulated continuously rather than having the sensation reset with every stroke. The position that consistently ranks at the very top of clinical research and broad surveys is rear entry, but it actually receives very polarizing feedback because it is so often performed incorrectly. When approached carelessly, it can feel emotionally disconnected, physically jarring, or uncomfortably deep. However, the secret to making this the number one position is a combination of anatomical alignment and dual stimulation. The first step is to fix the alignment. By having her bring her knees closer together rather than spread wide, the internal surface being engaged shifts entirely, making the contact feel much more intentional and precise. Adding a firm pillow beneath her hips further fine-tunes this internal angle, preventing the sensation of bottoming out and instead focusing the pressure where it is most effective. The most critical factor in transforming this position, however, is the addition of external touch. Because rear entry naturally moves the base of the pelvises apart, you must bridge that gap by incorporating a hand or a discrete device at the front. This restores the external stimulation that the vast majority of women require to reach peak satisfaction. To tie it all together, you need to shift your mental approach from aggressive thrusting to a smoother, rolling, gliding motion. By keeping your movements shorter and more rhythmic, you maintain a steady buildup of sensation rather than a series of abrupt resets. When you combine this fine-tuned angle with consistent stimulation at the front, you move away from a mechanical exercise and toward a deeply satisfying, high-intensity experience that works with her body's physiology rather than against it. It is equally important to understand why certain positions that look amazing on screen often fall short during actual practice. The first major offender is the standing shower scenario. While it is frequently glorified as thrilling and cinematic, the real-world physics are genuinely problematic for pleasure. Water is not a lubricant. In fact, it actively strips away natural lubrication, creating uncomfortable friction. Beyond that, slippery surfaces make it difficult to maintain stability, which forces the body to tense up for balance rather than relax into sensation. Because of the vertical alignment, finding a comfortable internal angle is nearly impossible, and maintaining steady external stimulation at the front of the pelvis becomes an awkward struggle. If you still want the intimacy of the setting, the best fix is to step out from under the direct stream of water and use a stable surface, like a sturdy bench or the edge of the tub, to transition into a seated variation. This immediately restores your balance and allows for a much better angle of contact while keeping the experience just as visually and emotionally intense. The second position that often leads to disappointment is the hyper-acrobatic variation, where the knees are pressed all the way back toward the ears. While this is often intended to create a sense of deep openness, for many women, it results in painful strain on the lower back, hip joints, and hamstrings. This intense physical stretch can trigger a fight-or-flight response in the nervous system, making it very difficult to stay present in the moment. Furthermore, the internal angle in this configuration often becomes too direct and aggressive far too quickly, leading to discomfort rather than pleasure. If you are looking for that specific sense of closeness and visual openness without the physical toll, the solution is simple. Place a firm pillow beneath her tailbone. This creates a gentle pelvic tilt that provides the same depth and view, but significantly reduces the amount of flexibility required. By keeping the range of motion shorter and more controlled, you redirect the sensation back toward the most sensitive areas while keeping her body completely comfortable and relaxed to ensure the experience remains consistently pleasurable regardless of which position you choose. You can apply 3 pro tips that act as universal stabilizers for physical momentum. The first is to synchronize your breathing for at least the first 30 seconds of any transition. It may sound overly simple, but intentional, shared breathing serves a critical physiological purpose. It signals to the nervous system that the body is safe and secure, which triggers muscle relaxation and increases overall blood flow. A body that is genuinely relaxed is far more receptive to sensation, meaning every touch will register more clearly and powerfully. The second tip is to deliberately shorten your range of motion. Many people mistakenly believe that larger, faster, or more mechanical movements lead to more pleasure, but the opposite is often true. Large in and out strokes actually cause sensation to reset or fade every time contact is broken. By keeping your movements smaller and more intentional, you ensure that the pressure against the most sensitive areas remains continuous and uninterrupted. This leads directly into the third tip, the forward press. If you feel the momentum starting to dip or you aren't sure what's working, avoid the instinct to pull back or increase speed. Instead, focus on pressing the base of your pelvis forward and maintaining steady, grounded contact. This rocking and angling technique, often referred to in clinical research, keeps stimulation focused exactly where it is most impactful. Ultimately, the secret to a great experience isn't found in mastering a complex acrobatic stunt. It is found in the micro adjustments. The most memorable moments are built on small, real-time corrections, lifting a hip slightly with a pillow, slowing the pace to match her breathing, or keeping a steady hand at the front. These tiny shifts transform a generic, structural framework into a custom-fit experience tailored specifically to her body's unique responses. When you prioritize continuous sensation over mechanical repetition, you move away from just following a script and toward a much deeper level of connection and satisfaction.